Hey everyone, this is Jen and
This is Sue.
Midlife Humor Gurus. I surprised her. I did it backwards. She was like, wait, what? And we are coming in hot today to talk about the holidays and your finances. Dun, dun, dun. That sounds amazing. I know. Everyone like, yeah,
Shoot me
it
now.
was the face again. Everyone's like, I was going to say, I'm not going to say what I was going to say because it's creepy. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say there was a lot of constriction that just happened for
I
everyone.
gotcha. Yep.
Yeah.
Time to unclench.
And
Unclench.
yeah, exactly. Thank you. And I thought that's maybe more than people want to think about right out the gate. Okay, so we're going to talk about finances. Why? Because when we asked our midlife repurpose community, uh, finances were a hot button for a lot of people.
Always are.
The holidays. So we thought we would at least take a run at it a little bit. So I will tell you that my speculation is that this is going to have a lot of little nuggets that we will talk about in other podcasts as well. But I still want to take a direct run at it because I feel like for the person who is stressed about this, it's nice to just have them all together linked in one place as well. So, listen, the holidays, just laughs. The holidays are not a cheap time of year. Let's be really honest. And I think for most people in one capacity or another, you are working to be mindful of your finances. Even if you're still not in a space of stress about it, that you're mindful then about creating a practice around how you show up to that kind of decision making around the holidays. So I feel like I've had some experiences around spending and tools that I like to use and talk about. But Sue, do you have anything that you want to add or share about this kind of stress around the holidays? Just because I want to make sure that you get an inroad into processing or talking a little bit about this kind of stress, which I'm sure you don't know anything about. So
No. Here's the thing. I suck at finances. I suck at money management. The holidays, it's just like, oh, I just suck at money management in December, basically, is what it comes down to. And I'm just going to sit here and take notes because when it comes to, I suck. I suck. I'm like, I suck. So we can talk about that in general in a different podcast. And I will tell you just how much I suck at finances and money management. Nearing 50, and quite frankly, I got nothing. So
okay.
we're just gonna move on from that. And I'm just gonna sit here
Okay.
and I am going to not pay my bills and not balance my checkbook because I don't even know how to spell that anymore.
Okay.
And do people use checks anymore? I don't even think people
Not
use
a lot. Not a lot.
But as far as me personally, it has been, and I'll be real honest, and I know I've talked about this before when it comes to traditional holidays. I'm not around my family. I live it's just me in the town where I live.
Yeah.
My brother is 3 hours
You live
away.
in a town all by yourself?
I do.
I like the way that you said that. It made it sound like population one schools.
I am actually the Grinch. I am actually the Grinch.
You're the one on top of the big mountain.
I'm on the top of the mountain, man. I got my dog.
Yeah. And the dog that, Zig is actually like, what's his name? What's his name?
What is his name? Zero? No, it's
no. This is midlife. Can we do I was like, this is midlife. Oh my God. I can literally see his cute little faux reindeer ears.
His little reindeer
Max.
ears. Or his
Max.
Max. That's it. Max. Wow.
You're welcome, everyone.
That was common dog name on the face of the planet.
That was super painful what just happened right there. I'm real sorry, everyone.
That hurts. That was bad. My brain. But anyways,
Okay.
I'll be completely honest. I don't do holiday gifts. And the reason that I don't anymore, number one, I don't get together with people. That's terrible. Isn't that terrible? I will do little things here and there. Like when I was working a conventional job, I did do the Secret Santa thing. I did the, for my boss, stuff like that.
Sure.
But I really, don't, because everybody that I know has everything that they need.
Mm-hmm.
And so it has kind of turned into a lot of it has kind of turned into it's just stuff.
Yeah.
So, and yes, it is the thought behind it that counts, of course. But usually what I will do is I will do stuff the rest of the year. If I see something, like I have a friend who, she's so sweet, she gets me stuff at Christmas. Not so much anymore because I'm a cheap ass. Um,
Sorry.
but she has done stuff for me before.
Yeah.
And then you hit the point where you're like, ooh, I should really do something for them. And then you're feeling obligated. And then you go out and you get some, it's just stuff. So
Yeah.
like from my friend, if I know I'm going to see her, she works where I used to work, but I still go in on a part-time basis, like a consultant type
Yeah.
thing. And I will bring her coffee
Oh, that's nice.
and like a pound cake, not a
Yeah.
whole pound cake, a slice. Like I'll bring her something, like, yeah. And I didn't cook the pound cake, by the way. I did not bake the pound cake, but I will do little things for my
Yes.
friends. I'll do
Yes.
little things for, my boyfriend does little things for me because he does not celebrate the holidays traditionally either. So, it's actually been, for me, to be honest with you, the whole stress of the finances at the holidays, I gotta tell you,
It's
not as
better
much
for
of an
you.
issue for me.
Oh yeah. I mean, I hear that. I hear that.
And if you want my advice on how to make that happen, just stop talking to everybody you know. Don't get together with anybody at the holidays. Stay single. And that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you.
That's my
That was
sage words of wisdom. I should really write a book.
you really should. You really should.
I am useless.
Okay.
I'm useless for this, other than I can tell you, like I said, I suck at money handling. And
Well,
I am good. If I get $1, I will spend $1.50. So I have had holidays before where I've gone overboard. So
okay. Okay.
all right, carry on.
Carry on. So, what I said was another idea that I just actually spoke to today for a vlog online where I was talking about my live of like versus value. I'm going to use that in a second. I will tell you a couple things. Communication and boundaries, your best friends. As we have a very huge family. So I want to be very clear. Like we've got like what feels like a million of us when we're all together. It's not, but it feels like it. And so I've got lots of like nieces and nephews and siblings and like great nieces and nephews. I mean, like our family's prolific. And so at some point it was like, I would love to do all these things and I cannot. I'm sorry. Like I love you all. This is redonk. And trying to travel furthermore, because very often if we're doing holidays with people, we're traveling from Minnesota to Wisconsin. So like, okay. So that was one. And it's was really truly a steeply financial obligation. It was a steep I said that really poorly. Steep financial obligation. And it was really freaking stressful, actually. Very. Which steals the joy out of all the parts of the holiday. Okay. So I started kind of instituting for my family how I do it was once you were 18 and my greats, I love, adore, 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 adore. I can't get 20 kids gifts. That's like just not right. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to let the aunts and uncles do the things like our aunts and uncles did for our like generation. Right. And then when you're 18 as a niece or nephew, I was like, now you're an adult, you go in the adult pool. Right. So that was kind of my like, okay, we had like all this madness. I'm like, how the hell do I decide to draw a line? I'm like, okay, at adulthood. Right. Because then you all can just join in our big clunk of people. So it has been everything from people make homemade things. We've had years where we have homemade gifts, which is great. If you have that talent for that, my husband is a beautiful woodworker. So like he made like breadboards and homemade games that were like,
wow,
really freaking cool, actually.
The more and more you talk about Zach, the more I like him.
he's legit, like he's seriously some magical shit. I'm just going to tell you, like the man has never touched something he cannot do well. It's so weird. It's actually kind of annoying, but anyway,
but you'd never know it by talking to him.
No, he's the most like humble person on the planet.
Yeah.
So we've done those things and we started setting limits and boundaries just so we didn't overdo it. And the most recent thing that our family's taken doing that I actually really like is the adults who want to and feel capable go into a pool and we use Elfster. And so it goes in, it rando draws, it's online, it's free, it's freaking amazing. And what happens is when you do that, you randomly get drawn a person, and then you can create wish lists, which is super cool because you go in and just link any products or anything that you want, and
Nice.
people can go in and buy it and send it as a secret Santa. So it's super fun. So we started doing that, which is really nice because it just contains it, but everybody still gets that joy of giving to somebody in the family, which is really fun. So we love that. So I think that's how we sort of approached. That doesn't mean that's right for you. I'm just giving you my little story of how we have decided to kind of roll with this. And I suck at reining myself in. I will be fully honest. We're like, this year, this is me. This year, we are going to do less. This is me. Okay. No, I'm not. I'm actually not going to do less. I actually don't know what the hell that means. It's not in my effing vocabulary because I love it. And when I'm on a roll, it's dangerous. I'm just being real. Okay. Particularly for my kid. Just saying. Okay. So super easy to buy for her. So I'm like, they see me coming, they're like, oh, but just coming with her wallet, get it out. Okay. So that's me. So with it all being said, I really encourage creativity around this so that you're talking with your family and figuring out fun and novel ways to do this so that everyone is not stressed out. You can decide to donate money to a service or a cause instead of getting yourselves one more effing thing like Sue said, right? Some families are like, we're going to adopt another family. We're going to spoil the hell out of another person who does not have this capacity, this family, this whoever, maybe they're having something serious going on in a family system, whatever it is. Brilliant. We're gonna just donate to a cause. You can do, there's no end in sight for the really beautiful and unique ways that you can approach the holidays and your spending. I do recommend, my friends, I'm gonna tell you what, my sister is the best. My sister's an accountant. My sister legit, when I tell you, has an Excel spreadsheet. And I mean, it is person's name, dollar amount. I don't know what's on the other side. All I know is it is the most organized thing I've ever seen in my life. And so I know one of it, it's a way to track that she's covering the people she wants to cover, right? In her very organized or accountant brain.
Mm-hmm.
But I do appreciate that. I think it's very important to sit down and figure out what your budget is. If you can like sit down with your partner, your loved one, whomever, if it's just you, figure it out. Like, what do I feel comfortable doing with this? Because very often we have all of us, I think most of us have that inclination to overdo.
Mm-hmm.
And it honestly, the irony is it comes from a really beautiful space some of the time too. It's not just, I'm just going to blow money. It can very often come from a really warm and beautiful space. So it's too bad that it kind of gets the rap it does because most of us are coming from a really great space.
You said wrap.
Wrap.
Like wrapping paper.
Like,
wrap. Wait, what was that? How did that go again? That's not what I was talking about, but do that.
Like me trying to be a rapper, but it was a really disturbing, weird sound that came out of my face. We're not going to do it again. Okay. So communication, boundaries, creativity. Now, before we go into the whole boundaries thing, I'm just going to tell you that what that really starts with is you. So you have to know what you can tolerate, handle, and manage for holiday. Your family members, your friends, everyone around you will not know. So I think it's crucial to sit down and think for yourself, mindfully craft, like, this is what I feel is comfortable for me. And then, and this is tough, you are going to have to communicate with people. Mm-hmm. I know everyone just shit their pants. So this looks like a conversation with family, maybe an email. I'm always a fan of honest like phone calls. Honestly, in person's the best. Start there. Can't do that? Okay. Phone call. Can't do that? FaceTime. FaceTime's a good option, right? FaceTime's in there. Then maybe an email. But what I will tell you is as you get further away from actually seeing someone's face, the more likely someone is to not necessarily understand and receive the message that you're trying to send. This is where it becomes really important. So it's okay to say to your family, this year is going to be hard for me. And this is what I would like to do. And this is my plan. Do you owe it to anyone? No, you owe $0. It's not about owing someone, but if it paves the path for someone to know where you are, then you're not explaining yourself 25 times, which I'm a fan of. I don't want to go through that shit. I would much rather one time say in some form, whether in person or FaceTime or whatever, I just want to let you guys know this is how I'm approaching the holiday this year. And I would ask that blank, blank, blank. Sometimes that means I would like to ask then if I cannot give this year, that you please do not give to me. Please respect that I will feel guilty and I will feel uncomfortable if you're giving to me and I'm not giving to you. You really want to be clear. I cannot stress this enough, and I'm not going to talk about all the language around it because I could talk about it for 2 hours, to give you the language that is very, very powerful and helpful when you're having really hard conversations. But I do just want to say, I think it's very important to start with I, talk about how you feel, and request what you need. Okay, that's what your family really needs from you. So that's how I always encourage really direct communication so that it can be done and over with. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it can be very painful. And I just feel like the way to keep your sanity is not to hold off and hold it in, because that will just eat up your holiday. The energy riding around with you is just shit, right? So like, let's just get her done. So that's what I would say. Really quickly, going to talk about like versus value. So I came up with this subject in another area that I was talking about today. And what I really want you to think about is this. You know, when we think about like versus value, what I thought about was I like lots of things. I said I like lots of people, right? I have so much space for all the joys of the season and the trappings and the meals and the gifts, and I love all that. And what I also think that we want to consider is actually what we value, not just what we like. That's a different relationship to gifting and the finances around the holiday than just, and I like, does someone need it? Does someone have a need? I heard a friend of mine say that's actually one way that she likes approaching the holidays, saying, do you have something that you need? And that's just a really beautiful communication, because maybe somebody doesn't need like, for example, they don't need something for the back of their car for in case they have an emergency. That's a great gift, but maybe that's not what they need. But what they really need is a grocery card, right? A gas card. So, or a bill paid or whatever. So I do think that's so beautiful.
My mother is listening. I need a new set of tires.
It's just like, if anyone's listening.
Listen, I'm just throwing that out there. And what really sucks is I have all-wheel drive.
This is what I need. That's what you would do. So another way to approach this is to ask.
No, I'm serious.
She's like, no, I'm actually putting my thing on the list here. So I think that's really beautiful. But when you think about like versus value, think about what you have as a value laden foundation for yourself. And so for some people, as I've aged, I love gifts. I love giving them. I love it so much. And as I've aged, I also value experience and memories over almost anything else. Hands down.
Yep.
Let's go take a trip. Let's go have a tea. Let's go. For me, I'm like, where are we going to go in the world and create a beautiful memory together? Because I will never lose that. Stuff comes and goes. And stuff, I still like stuff. I still celebrate with that. So I'm not going to not say that I don't do those things, but I am going to say that as I've aged, I'm much more interested in having experience. And so I also think that those can be powerful conversations with our people. And I want you to think about that. Do I just and conserve your things? Now, when I say conserve, I don't mean hoard. When I talked about it today, I talked about your time and energy, which are two precious commodities, which are actually, you can think about in the relationship to this as well, but also money. So for someone that if stuff is not your thing and your value is something else, I think that's really important to share with someone. And, thinking about, do I like all my family members? Absolutely. If it was just coming down to and I had $1 gazillion, I would take them all on a trip. Honestly, that if I had $1 gazillion, that's what I would do. I would take it.
That'd be fun.
That's what I would do. It wouldn't be
a
thing. It wouldn't be like a thing. It'd be like, I will take you all on a really cool trip. But what I will say is, and I like everybody, I love everybody. I shouldn't say that. I love everyone. And I have to look at how I hold space for that, for what I value though. And if I value my sanity, and I value that I've got a budget, and I value that I'm coming into Christmas screaming hot, where maybe it's not feasible for me to spend $2,000 doling out gifts to people, I want you to be able to sit with that. I think it's really an important thing to look at when you're trying to discern what you want to do and how you want to navigate these things is, what do I value? It's not just about liking a person or a thing or something like that. It's, where are my values in alignment or misalignment with this? And that can be uncomfortable because it might not, right? It might not mesh up with every single person in your life, but I think this is a really powerful tool. And so I would say budgeting, I would look at like versus value really early in all of this stuff we're talking about though. If it was me, one of my first things I would do is like versus value. So if I've got a budget potentially, and then right after that or right in correlation with that, like versus value. What would I be giving away if it's costing me something? And this is what I want you to lean into. If it's costing me something, it's time to reassess. So if it's costing me time, stress, sleep, credit debt, if it is costing me something that I don't
household relationships, like what's going on.
Absolutely. If I'm looking at that and I go, I have a really firm value for my time, my energy, my emotional state, my peace of mind, that's where I would want you to lean into. So this is where that discernment becomes very super important. And I know it just sounds like, oh, yeah, like, no, really lean into this and give it a try and see what comes forward for you. And sometimes that also does is it gives you the groundwork and foundation for how you might approach talking to friends and family about this. Is, you know what, this year I've really realized my stress level is through the roof by the time I'm done with the holidays. And even though I love you so much and I really love giving, this is really not in my wheelhouse right now. And in order to preserve my sanity, my bank account, my not being scared I'm not going to be able to make X, Y, and Z, or whatever it is, I've got some things coming up that I need to attend to. Maybe you've got a kid that launched to college and now college money is in your, you're like, I'm paying for college, right? Whatever it is, someone had a car breakdown. It can be a million things. But if you say like, this is where I am in this state, and this is really where I think I need to come from in order to preserve my wellness in whatever form that takes, that's really important. So I feel like having this a little bit of a way to kind of like measure for yourself, not just like, oh, I'm sweating balls, the holidays coming and I can't do X, Y, and Z. It's like, okay, well, let's start with, do you have a budget? Number one, that's okay. If you have a budget now, like and value, which one, where does that weigh in for you? You can't do for everybody. How are you going to decipher that? Right? It's like, okay, love everyone, but I value that these are relationships that I'm really close to, or these are people that have certain space in my life. Those are different ways to sort of start discerning for yourself how you want to approach this. So it isn't, there's no perfect solution. And I hate to tell you that, right? But I think that you really want to reinvent for yourself how this shows up in your life and speak to that with honesty. Because if you're sweating every year, one of my friends said, I'm in retirement. I've got a really big family. I've got all kinds of grandchildren, right? Make a line in the sand that fits you. Maybe that's each grandkid gets one thing. Each kid gets, our kids, children proper, get one thing, or maybe a couple gets us something, or I'm taking you all out to dinner and that's what we're doing, or a show. And that's the gift from us. Maybe the adult children don't get shit because that's not in your wheelhouse. You want to honor and value and respect where you are. And so really work. It's hard. It's so hard. And I'm going to say this, have a buddy, which this just came to me. This wasn't even in my freaking notes. Have a buddy system, because if you've got a safety net of someone you can call and be like, oh, have you ever seen Christmas with the Cranks?
I have. I would have to revisit it again.
Oh my God. It's so effing hilarious because his family decides they're not going to do the holiday because he wants to go on a cruise. They don't buy the calendar from the firefighters. They don't want to put their snowman on the roof. I mean, their neighbors, everyone in their lives is absolutely in upheaval, right? It's actually hilarious. But it's really like, right, you have to decide. So you're going to need support sometimes. If I'm like, I'm stepping out this year, or I'm only going to do X, Y, and Z, because this is what I can really do that feels in alignment for me, you might need a friend to be like, they're knocking on my door to sell me a calendar, a fireman again. You might need a buddy. I mean, you might need a friend to be like, I want to go and buy the things because I'm feeling freaking stressed and there's all this tension or whatever. And you've got a friend that goes, you made a promise to yourself. And why was that so important to you? Why did you start there? Well, because I'm saving for something big that's coming. Has that changed? No. Okay. So I know you're sad. Like, I feel you, girl. Like, I feel you, girl. I get it. And I know this is so hard. And you can have compassion and then say, and this is self-care. This is honoring who you are and where you are. You do not have to show up in any way that's not in alignment for you. So, those are some of the tips and tools I would drop in as you're facing financial right decisions in the holidays. Like, we get it. And I have news for you. We're not just talking about the holidays. This is anything.
I
know everyone just went right. So like it's birthday season or it's graduation or whatever the hell it is. I have news for you. It's still the same design. You're still looking at, right, how do I know you? Even if I really love and like you, can I do this? What do I value in this? And is it costing me something? When it's costing me something that feels very value laden, I have to give myself redirection and permission to redefine what I'm going to gift. We just had graduation. Chloe knows about 9 million kids. We had a lot of graduation announcements. Could we do something for every single teenager who went to a school with, I think, I want to say 800 kids in a class or better?
Wait, in a class?
In a class. Sue and I graduated with 99 people.
I was just that literally those were going to be the words that were just going to come out of my mouth just after the spit take, because we had fewer than 100 people in our graduating class.
We did. So we have no reference for this. So my point is like, that's crazy. Right. And she was on a swim team with 70 girls. I mean, like, there's a lot of humans that we've known. So could we dole out cash to every single kid that we got? No, that's not feasible.
Sure. So if you budgeted $800, there's a buck a piece.
If only, because that's not what people are. People aren't giving people $10 or even 20, right? It's, I mean, now it is a different story. So I just want to kind of also tap into, this applies across a lot of places. So it's still the same discernment. It's still kind of the same questions. It's just a different event. So I just want to arm you with some of that, because I think that this can be really tough time of year. And I get that. And I just want you to give yourself permission to identify what feels good for you, so that you're not overextending yourself in a way that feels really miserable, because that is not necessary. Ending the holiday, like, in a state of absolute exhaustion and depression and $3,000 in credit card debt that you did not intend to spend, that is not glorious. That is not the essence or spirit of the holiday in any way, shape, or form. So right, you get to not have that experience. You have permission to decide it's not going to look that way. Sue, any thoughts, questions, anything on that? Otherwise, that is all that I've got.
No. I would just like to reiterate once again, I suck at finance.
Listen,
I cannot stress enough to you how horrible I am at finances.
Yeah. So. I mean, here's what I'm going to say. I have not always been great. I'm going to be 100% clear as well. I've definitely had moments where I've been better than others, and I'm not always proud of that. And I would say more, but my husband's very, very private about those things. Those are not comfort zones for him. But what I will say is I've been in spaces and places where I have truly stressed and sweated about this. And so I do know the people that are like having like heartache about it. I still have to think about it every year. So it's not something that I just show up and we willy-nilly, like, whatever. We are in communication and talking through that and making plans as a family. It is freaking hard. I mean, and I want to say that too, like, right. Like, it's not, it's much more work than what I just made it sound like. I simplified for our conversation. It's much more complex and can feel really emotional to people.
Well, and that's, and going back to it too, it's definitely not anything I'm hanging my hat on as well as a sense of pride. And it is something that just recently, I would say probably only in the last 6 months. Is it something where I'm actually really, tightening and really assessing where my money is going. And why it is that I'm in the situation that I'm in, which isn't, I mean, it's not dire. It's not anything like that. It's just that like saving for a rainy day for me is always, that just means that I'm buying like an extra bottle of water. It's just been my thing. And it's like I said, in the last half year or so, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, oh, okay, I need to change that, you know, and when it comes to the holidays, it's tricky because it is a cost thing. It is, you know, but one thing that I've always wanted to do, and I've never done this, and this is not even a fiduciary thing. This is more of my energy level. I love the homemade gift things. And what I always thought would be fun to do, because I have a bunch of jars and stuff laying around, is baking items are super cheap. And when I say cheap, I mean like inexpensive. And you can get a big bulky bag of flour, a big bulky bag of brown sugar, a bunch of chocolate chips, and you can put together those jars.
Yeah.
And then you just get a little, like if you do the crafting thing, you can just do the little recipe cards with a little bit of ribbon, which is cheap as well.
Yeah.
And you've just given someone like a dozen cookies, like a batch of cookies, but they, you know, they can make it themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I do. I do. I love things like that.
Fancy recipe or something like that.
Yep.
And then you can do the cards yourself. Cause again, that stuff individually is inexpensive, but it's coming from it's like a labor of love.
Yeah. My mom, one of her things she did is she aged because they were, I mean, broke. I mean, they just did not have a lot of money. And, but she loved to bake. So one of the things that she would do for the holiday every year is leading up to the holiday, she would bake and bake and bake. And one of the things she would do is create a tray this big around. No, you all can't see me if you're listening to the podcast. I mean, it's got to be like a 16-inch or better tray. And she would make all the families trays of breakfast breads.
Nice.
So all of the family favorites were on there. So there would be like lemon bread, which is my favorite on the planet. So it'd be like banana bread, lemon bread, pumpkin bread. Sometimes she makes stolen cranberry orange bread. Like, so it was really beautiful because then on Christmas morning, when she wasn't with you in person necessarily, you got to unwrap this incredible tray of beautiful breakfast bread. You didn't do shit. And it was like this beautiful hug from her. And she would slave. I mean, like, girlfriend would like be a little ragey doing it. So I'm just going to tell you, like, I was like, oh, okay, if it's causing you stress, just, but one of the things was I can do this. I have the time. It's not expensive to get the ingredients. So I will do something that they might not have the time to do. And then they will know that I'm thinking of them on Christmas morning.
Exactly.
And it was a big treat in our family. So I love what you're saying, which is I think we can be very inventive. I don't think it always has to look like one thing. I've got a cousin that makes like cherry stuff that you can make cocktails with. She'll make homemade like dilly beans. So you'll sometimes get really cool shit. I don't have time to do that. That's amazing.
Right.
How you make a cool cocktail with this concoction I just gave you.
Oh, that's a good idea too.
It's so cool. It's like
I have a friend who makes she makes greeting cards.
Yeah.
And it's her side hustle. It's not even a side hustle. It's just a hobby. She just loves doing it.
Yeah.
And she can put together a packet.
Right.
You know, and boom.
Yeah. Right.
And it's come from her and it came out of nowhere. You know, it came from nothing. And
I love that.
And it's just as significant as anything else, you know?
Yeah, I think that's so beautiful. And I think for me, that's, you know, really, again, it's being creative. Right. That's why I said very early, it's like, be creative. It does not have to look like one thing. Honestly, you could do a service for someone. You could be like, look, this year I really want to do something for you. And I can't afford $100 gift but you know what I can do? Yeah. You have that thing you've been talking about that bugs the hell out of you, can't take care of. It's a painting job, or it's you get the paint. I'll paint that shit for you.
Right.
You got a thing that's broken. I'll fix that thing for you. I think there is just a million ways to address things. And I think we hem ourselves in because of all the conditioning.
Yep.
Right. All the stuff on TV, all the blah, blah, blah. Like that's not the only way to have a holiday. So really, really expanding yourself that you get to do what feels best to you. And sometimes that's nothing. And sometimes that's something really creative and inventive. And it's like, hey, I can't do that, but I can do this. I think that's delightful. I really do. So yeah, that's lovely. That's such a good idea.
It is.
Anyway, we want to just make sure we're addressing, right? Because it was something that our midlife repurpose community asked. And I was like, I'm trying to be very mindful to show up for them when they are willing to share with us vulnerably about where they're at, that they're hearing content that directly speaks right into the heart of something. So if you're listening and this is an area that's a struggle, then I really, truly hope you took some little nuggets away that will encourage you to think a little bit differently, or give yourself permission to show up in a different way that feels much more in alignment for your soul. You don't have to be exhausted by the end of the holidays, my friends.
Right.
You are not required to
Or in debt.
overextend, and feel like shit at the end of the holiday. That is not the spirit of the holiday. So I give you real full permission. You don't need it, but I'm giving it to you if you need to hear this. Like, it's okay for you to redesign this experience for yourself. Okay. So I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Sue, is there anything that you wanted to finish with?
No, I will say that I have somebody who fell off my Christmas or my holiday gift list forever because he actually called me a cheap ass after one Christmas. And so he will never be getting anything ever again.
Oh my God.
So there's that. Merry freaking Christmas.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
yeah. So if you ever have that happen to you, just cross that one right off.
Yeah. Can I say really quickly? Let me say really quickly, please. Just, and then we're going to be done. I do want to say that there was a holiday that my mom did not have money at all, and gave a very practical gift, and a family member was like, oh, I mean, like, why do you even give these to me? I will tell you, I will cut you in half. When someone shows up and they are trying to do something generous, swear to the Lord, this is one of those things for me. Put a smile on your face and say thank you. Okay. Because if that person thought enough to try to create a gesture of some kind, if you hate it, don't like it, think it's weird, think it's cheap, keep it to your own damn self. There is no reason that any of us ever needs to have a judgment or comment about something that's gifted. Even if it's not something that you like or enjoy. That it's the meaning of the thing.
Right.
And just say thank you. That's all that's required. Okay.
Right.
Because
don't be an ass hat.
Kind of don't be an ass hat. And I'm sure that none of our listeners would do that, but I want to speak that with like grace. With grace, that right, we want to teach this to our kids, that you don't have to like say, shit about it. Like, you can just say thank you very much for that thought. I really appreciate this.
Gratitude.
Thank you so much. Period. Okay. Like, I just think that is really crucial too. Like, just again, not that I want to like sit and spend time in that, because I think things happen like this, but I want to say, I do think it's so powerful to just say thank you and be grateful. Okay. I'm sure y'all got that. I'm sure none of you listening would do that. But if you run into someone too, we're experiencing this, like, hey, just, maybe to say thanks. Like, that's the appropriate response for this. So yeah, because we bump into people that don't know better. And that's too bad. So anyway, I hope this is hoping you don't have to educate someone this holiday about how to be generous. But I just want to say to you that you are absolutely capable and have permission to design your holiday the way you want it. And you have that same permission around your finances. So again, hoping you took something powerful away, and we will definitely see you all next time. So signing off, this is Jen and
this is Sue.
And we are sending you so much love, and we will see you next time in the next podcast. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.